I'm just giving you video. Number 3 is, so I don't know which. The battery was
such a blur that I just.
400
Pay attention to the details.
What
Pay attention to what's
a battery's $400 today? I'm not, I really am not.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ruling Lopez. Page.
Here.
Valley.
Here.
Painter. Here. Wolfensberger.
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Brad.
Yes.
First, bit of business that we have, we are going to officially appoint Mike Center as our village clerk. So, I guess we need a motion to accept.
No, you make the appointment and then someone makes a motion to ratify the appointment.
Well, I make the appointment officially to have Mike Center be our new village clerk. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Is that a conflict of interest for you to call?
Page.
Absolutely.
Valley.
Yes.
Painter.
Yes.
Wolfensberger.
Yes.
Cummings.
Excitingly, yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we officially have an oath for you, so you don't have this at the end, and we'll make this official. This is, normally this is what the clerk does, so, I guess tonight that I will, so I guess, do we have him raise his right hand?
Sure.
So everyone will make it very useful, so, repeat after me. I, Mike Center,
I, Mike Center.
I swear or affirm
Hereby swear or affirm.
that I will abide by the Constitution of the United States
I hereby affirm that I will abide by the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
I will carry out the duties of office
And I will carry out the duties of office
of St. Joseph Village Clerk.
of St. Joseph Village Clerk
Sorry, I did that. And the Village of St. Joseph to the best of my ability.
of the Village of St. Joseph to the best of my ability.
That's what I get for not reading.
Yeah.
Making up.
Get a picture. Yeah.
Yes. And actually, you should shake all of our hands to make it.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Welcome, on board. All right, first thing I will throw out there, is there anyone out in public comment that would like to speak? If so, make sure you signed in, just raise your hand. If not, we'll move on to the meeting, so. All right, first thing on our agenda, we have our consent agenda. That is our regular village board meeting minutes and also the approval of bills. If there's no questions or corrections or additions to any of those, is there a motion to approve that?
Motion approved.
I'll second.
Val,
Yes.
Painter,
Yes.
Walker, Turner,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
6-0, motion passed.
First line of business is our new business, and we are going to have a presentation this evening about community building. Jim Page and Jean Blackhead. I will, you guys want to come up front like that, or
Yes.
they've been working very hard on getting some great information and moving this along, so I want to thank them for all their hard work so far. I think it's exciting. Joe and I met with them, so they've kind of filled us in a little bit on some things, but anyway, so I think you will enjoy hearing their presentation.
Okay, we haven't met since April 23rd, I think, so it's been 3 or 4 months and a lot has happened. Go ahead.
We should probably back up that first slide. Those are just placeholder pictures.
Yeah, they're not
So
real, they're just,
we're still in obviously in the design phase, so those are just concepts to think about. So,
all right. Since we met, we've created the St. Joseph Recreation Foundation as a not-for-profit corporation in Illinois. We had our first board meeting last night, approved the bylaws and all the filings that we need to make to the Attorney General and to the IRS Department of Revenue for 501c3 status, so donations are tax deductible. We have a 9-member board of directors. We've opened up a bank account with $20,000 in it for operating costs to get started. And we've already had a discussion with one other local private organizations expressed interest in partnering with us on this community building. Next slide. Here's the big information. A single donor has come forward and conditionally dedicated $1 million to get it built, along with the 300,000 that this same donor has donated to the village in the past. That gives you any hints. We're looking at, we'll talk a little bit later, we're looking at 2.3-ish for the whole project. That's utilities, extensions, road to it, parking lot, lights, building, what we're hoping to build. So we're $1 million short, but we're more than halfway, which is awesome. Next. We signed the contract last night with IGW Architecture out of Urbana to do a feasibility study. They originally said they normally work with Burns Clancy. I asked them to work with the village engineer, Clark Dietz, instead. That's not a problem. So they're already gonna reach out to Clark Dietz, because Clark Dietz already has the drawings and the information about the park and the site. So that'll save us a little bit of money. Like I said, very preliminary cost of this is $2.3 million. Todd and I spent a week driving around East Central Illinois, going to 10 different event community centers. And boy, did we learn a lot. We had a survey tool that we used in each one of them. We interviewed the managers that were running them. We took measurements with the laser, got copies of their rental agreements, their policies, the history of how many events they have, what their finances are. And so we took all those survey tools and created a spreadsheet of combined information about all of them so we could compare apples to apples. We learned something at every one of them. Yes, many of them were very small, Tilton, Sydney. You know, they're 80, 90 people, you know, at the most small, but we still learn stuff. Like Sydney said, please, all your electrical outlets in your kitchen have to be on 2 different circuits because all the roasters and crock pots. So we learned something at each one of them, and we found one. Has anybody been to Tuscola's Community Center? Yeah, we really like the layout of that one in particular. But anyway, we forwarded all that information to our architect. So that, I think that'll short circuit the feasibility study a little bit about what we want.
Is that the one down by the tracks?
It is.
Okay, I'm at it.
And they have like weddings, I've been to a wedding there, right? They rent it out.
Oh, absolutely.
They have different events, they had.
They have-
Antique shows, vendor shows, you name it.
They have 300 events a year.
And do they rent it, or is it if you live there?
No, they rent it.
No, okay.
It's like most of them, people live in the village or the city, get one right, people live outside, get another, more, you know, it varies based on what you want. You need kitchen, you need liquor, that sort of thing, but yeah, they charge and they make quite a bit of money.
The interesting about Tuscola, it's open throughout the day, unlocked, unmonitored, no cameras, no security. So anybody can walk in there. So if you're down in Tuscola way, just
Walk in.
find it and just walk in. It's there. They don't care.
So we learned quite a bit, which helped us, I think, quite a bit, absolutely a lot. So next slide. And then this is just pictures of the places we went. We talked when we met last time about Villa Grove. Villa Grove was the very first one we went to, and it was very interesting. They built a workout building. It's a gym. Got an elevated walkway. It's open from 5:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, so people could go before and after work. And it's $7.1 million, which is a chunk of money. They sold their water system, that's how they paid for it, plus a grant from the state. However, they're finding out now that we need to staff it from 5:30 to 8, and doesn't take long before that becomes $250,000 a year in staff costs. So that was a little different, but most of the rest of them are kind of the same. In various states of, like Tilton's basically a metal shed, you know, Fisher's pretty brand new. Philo is an old school, you know, it's really a mix of various types of buildings and organizations that run it. Next slide. We've met with the U.S. Department of Agriculture grant staff, and we're going to initiate a rural business development grant application. Those are capped at $500,000. We were behind the 8 ball because the median home income in St. Joe's $94,000, which they focus on less. So we'll have some points against us, but we're going to go ahead and apply for that. Those funds can be used for utility extensions, roadways, and parking lots, which is a big chunk of this. We're currently building web, Facebook, other social media pages for marketing and to be able to accept donations online. We're going to have a presence at the Fall Festival. We're going to have a booth. We're going to have a banner, handouts, talk to people about what it is, what we're trying to do, take donations, with the QR code. People will be able to just donate right on their phone if they want to. So we're going to start marketing this to try and raise some interest in the community. This is the kind of the same design, the slide we had last time, commercial kitchen, alcohol availability, storage. A lot of people said storage, but they all said, don't short yourself on storage. Don't store your tables and chairs in the event venue room, which a lot of places do. We want an covered outdoor area for outdoor activities. Parking, not use the parking at the sports complex, because there's nights when there's 3 ball games going on and those parking lots are full. And if we had an event at the event center, community center, we'd be in a mess. So we're going to build as much parking as we can afford off the sports or the sports center. And then we're gonna have like a full building generator. We're gonna work with John Dwyer, the Champaign County Emergency Manager, on getting this designated as an emergency site for warming, building, cooling. There's a power outage, emergency shelter, there's thunderstorms or whatever for people out at the park. And village staff will help us when we get into the building design with the architects, because you're going to eventually own this. And you have a say in how it's built and how it's structured and where it sits. Okay. We talked about this before. This is Jim Page with the Word document, just. You know, yes, and how it sets, where it sets. We want to be as close, the location is really away from people, residences, and as close to the utilities as we can get without getting inside the park itself. Because I know the board has talked multiple times about we've expanded the north, you know, how are we gonna, you know, what's the future look like at the park? We didn't want to get in the way of any of that. And that's kind of the highest point of that field, because we don't want to mess with flood issues there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. That's going to be Clark Dietz and the architect put together a proposal for us. And we thought it'd be a good, when you pull into the park, you see that right at the end. It's kind of a good anchor, good visual for the park. Okay. Eventually, we're focused on building this thing now. Eventually, we're going to have to manage it. And we're proposing, and we want to engage the village in a discussion. And we have to do it right now, but eventually somebody's going to have to run this thing. And how we do that, and what's that partnership look like? Because, you know, you don't want to add to your head count. We don't want to get in the employment business, but somebody's going to have to manage this facility. So we would, we'd like to engage the village as time goes on. If we see that this is actually going to get built, and we're going to raise the money, then we need to really pivot to how operationally it's going to work. Okay. And then, like, to keep on along that vein, we think you're going to have at least one person managing this and talking to people and scheduling events and being around. Let me see here. Sure.
Now, most of these other venues that we visited
Yes.
were mainly, was the village clerk, treasurer, village treasurer. That was the contact person who would take you to visit the place and rent it and take care of all of that paperwork. So,
And every one of them said, I wish I wasn't doing it.
yeah.
All of them said, it eats up all my time and I can't get my regular job done because I'm answering phone calls about how are we going to set this event up, or how are we going to set that up? Somebody's going to have to focus on that. So what we're going to eventually propose to the village is maybe a township village, St. Joe Recreation Foundation partnership amongst all of us, sharing resources. We got the advantage of being able to raise private money to help pay for this, plus the revenues from the building itself. If we are successful in marketing it and using it, and we have money coming in, the first money goes to the maintenance, and then capital replacement, and then anything left over can be put back into the parks and to the sports complex to improve the area out there as well. Because, you know, we can't make any money because we're not profit, but we thought that would be a good priority order next. So we're coming just to let you know what's going on. Things are moving and they're moving quick. We've asked for, because we're finding when we go to folks to ask for money, and we say, we got $1 million, and they're saying, ooh, you know, so we've been given permission now to say the name. It's the Ralph Woodard Foundation, and it's Ralph's family that we're dealing with. And we have to have, for credibility's sake, we have to be able to name that person. We got $1 million. This is where it's coming from. The village is on board. That's part two, because if somebody's going to write a check, say corporation, for $50,000, they want to make sure that the St. Joe Recreation Foundation isn't running off on its own doing this. So we're asking for a resolution to say we're reserving some acreage out there where we think it's gonna be. The village is gonna partner with the St. Joe Rec Foundation to make this happen. And that you're gonna rededicate the earmark 300,000 that the Words have already donated to the village towards the project. And then with that resolution, we say we've got $1 million from the Ralph Woodward Foundation, and we've got a resolution from the village of St. Joseph. We're serious, they're serious. Write me a check. So, that's what we're asking for tonight, and to answer any questions that you may have. Because a lot's going on, and I'm sure I've forgotten something in this presentation. I know.
Okay, did any of these different community centers give you an idea what they spend on utilities a year?
No,
So some did.
Couple did.
We asked the question and I was absolutely amazed at the cost. To me, it was like, it wasn't much. For example, Tuscola, they run a chiller unit in the entire building,
Mhm.
70 degrees, 365.
Mhm.
You can't touch it. If you rent the building, 70 degrees. If you're cold, put on a jacket. You know, that type of, and so far they were extremely pleased with that. It helped them balance out their, power bills as well.
and
Fisher,
Fisher,
like a heat pump, is that what?
Fisher put in a
Yeah, Fisher did
geothermal.
geothermal, which would be fantastic if we could afford that.
But to be quite frank, most of them get their Ameren bill or whoever they get their power from. And it's the village's bill, and the people we talked to could
Really didn't even know.
break off what that building's bill was from the rest of them. So,
And then another thing is, and I realize it's focal point, but you also got a football field there sort of in the backside of that. You said that the parking would be insufficient to get other games. Wouldn't it be ahead to put it like between Ball Diamond 3 and the soccer and maybe expand the parking what we could?
I don't think there's
You
enough
mean
room.
putting that more north?
More, yeah, so it'd be between those two.
There's at least one complication with that, and that's the level of ground there. This literally is on the peak. So the cost to level that out would definitely be.
And there is a soccer field there, you have to build a soccer field. I don't think there's enough room.
This utilizes the south part of that acreage that is low. You have the retention pond back there, this is the next highest point. So further development with the park wouldn't go in that south part anyway. So putting it here, not only being the focal point, would also allow more development for parks, whether it be soccer, base, whatever, to the north and to the east.
But
I guess I was thinking about it was over there, that would give immediate use for the soccer and the baseball to the north, because you'd be sitting kind of between them. And that way, if you need restrooms or lockers, or locker rooms, be in more proximity, and if you did I just thought it might be more convenient, put it that way.
Well, and, to that point, people have asked about if we're gonna have outward facing restrooms. For use for football and for, people using the park. And the answer we have to give is probably not, but maybe. Which brings up, I don't know what the history is lately of open restrooms in St. Joe. I know what it used to be. To the point where we locked the ones at Crestwood Park, and it was still locked during the day.
You're asking if we've had people vandalizing them and doing stuff in them, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But those can be in talks and design,
it depends on utility extensions and a lot of other stuff that we'll talk to the engineer about, because I'm only sure, I've looked at drawings, the last drawings I had were from 2012, when we did this the last time. And, it doesn't have gas, but it had storm sewers and power on there. And right there where we're looking at,
both of those, are available. So we don't know. We'll look.
Okay, the storm sewer on the south side of the road, is it? Or is it on the north side? Utilities going there, or the parking lot,
Grand, you mean?
going out there, yeah. But I thought it was on the north, that was another reason I thought about the north side. I just,
The storm sewer runs north and south on the east end, right in front of, on the east side of the football field.
really,
There's one that runs.
I figured there was one, probably went parallel to
It
the,
goes to the
The park.
church, to the pond,
okay,
retention pond, the 24 inch.
Any other questions? That I said they've done a lot of great work. I know, which I've been friends with the Woodard family for a long time, and I know they had approached me last fall on thinking about a donation. At that point, I didn't have any idea what it was or anything, but the timing was just perfect because as I was chatting with them about various different opportunities and things, and we were just looking at all options, Todd and Jim approached me with this idea, and it just seemed like the timing was perfect, because I'm like, well, might
Might
be
have
a
somebody.
good time. So anyway, and it does seem like it has kind of, everything has kind of fallen into place, and like I said, they've done a lot of hard work since we started this discussion, and to me, out of all the years that I've been on the board, which is 20 years, we've talked about it, we've talked about community building, the Woodard family gave us the building there at North Gate, which was not feasible really for a community building, but that's how we got the initial donation with that. And that was one promise I kind of made to them, is even though this won't be the community building, this money, will be dedicated for community building. At some point, hopefully we will at least, have something started. And so this is as far as it's ever gotten ever since I've been on the board. And so to me, that's exciting because they put a lot of hard work into it, and no one else has ever taken the initiative to do that. So I thank you guys for doing that, because it makes it much more of a reality for the community. So, anyway, I think it's very exciting. You look at other communities who have them in various, through their communities, communities supported and various things. And, I think St. Joe can do it also, but I think this gives us a great opportunity to accomplish that.
We're doing it in a fairly unique way with a not-for-profit organizing and running it in village-owned property. Some of the others that have not listed on, for example, Royal does it virtually the same way. But it's also important, and some of the reasons why it hadn't gotten done in the past was there's no money to do it, right? And we see the posts on Facebook, even from Nora's post today about this. And people are wondering what does all these taxing bodies do with our money? And I think it's just a good point to say, for at least for those that are listening anyway, that 70% of your tax bill goes to the school districts. And the rest of the 30% is split between all these other various ones, including the village. So it's not like there's this big pot of money that just keeps pouring into the village and you're trying, everybody's scrapping to get by. So there was no way the village could do this without a tax referendum, which we all know is not welcomed. And this is, like you said, it's time. This just all fell into place with a perfect donor. We are halfway there. That may seem daunting to try and raise another 1.2 or $3 million to get this done, but this legwork and, by you adopting the resolution will at least give us some more credibility when we go after more corporate donors that are very interested in maybe sponsoring the outdoor pavilion, maybe sponsoring the kitchen or another various portion of the building, put their name on there. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a great board, just so you know who they are. Jim Page is the president. Jamie Morris is our secretary. Brooks Bennett Miller is our new treasurer. And then we have Dennis Baltzell, who's a retired Champaign police officer in town here. Tim Short,
Jim Short, Todd Allen.
Todd Albers, who's also on the township board. And, Barb Babb. Then we have one seat open that, hopefully will get filled the next couple of years. So we've got a good diverse group that I think will make a big difference, but it's a team, you know. This is gonna take a village to get done. We need people to talk about it. That's why we're going to the village, to the, fall festival. It's all about connections. And I just encourage each one of you and everybody else, if you have a connection to somebody, and that somebody needs money, we would like to talk with them. So.
And another piece about the resolution is when we go to apply for the USDA grant, or if we apply for an OSLAD grant or anything else, we're gonna need it. They're gonna require the governmental resolution. You can't use, they've changed OSLAD a little bit. The 2025 is open now. Applications are open. They close in September 15th or something like that. You can't build community buildings with it, but you can pay for utility extensions and parking and street extensions inside of a park with OSLAD. So if we could get a couple $100,000 from that, or, if it's 100,000 here, a couple hundred, 500, we can build this up to where we can get it paid for. So I'd like to talk to you, Joe, later about OSLAD, because you guys would have to apply for that. We can apply for the USDA grant, so.
Said, and I know Villa Grove, that's, I know one of the pictures was their wall of donors.
Absolutely.
And so I know even though they had their various grants and different ways that they got their money, but it was also done through a lot of donors.
How much did they have to raise? They had to raise a lot of that. I mean,
Yeah, I don't remember.
They had some decent corporate sponsors as well,
Yeah,
from the railroad to,
and
so there was a couple others.
Some families.
so,
and
and I
that-
think they did that too with different donors donating to a different area. 'Cause I
Yes,
know there was a special family who did like the splash pad there as far as their complex and
the kitchen was a big
yeah.
one there.
different rooms and things,
They
so.
built FEMA certified tornado shelters in that building, which are massively expensive because they have to have their own HVAC, their own power source. They got a Tesla power wall, and I mean, they spend a
Being
lot.
outdoor, it's,
It is.
now, we'd love to have that, but I don't think that's gonna be able to fit in the $2.5 million budget. So,
You
more
said
money, we could do that.
you had a possible grant, the different ones you're naming on. Is there a time limit on those when they expire?
The USDA grant is an ongoing grant. Their federal fiscal year starts October 1st, and they can start accepting. Normal grants like the OSLAD grant opens July, ends in September. They get all the grant applications, they make a judgment, prioritize and decide. The USDA grant is, you put yours in, they decide yes or no. The next guy puts his in until they run out of money. So it's our strategy to be the very first person, very first organization. to
There
have
again,
that
is there a
application.
time limit on that to when, I mean, it's one thing to apply, you get money to, yeah,
It's usually 2 years.
2 years.
It is worth mentioning that our donor, that we do have a definite timeline to have dirt turned by May of 26.
Seems optimistic.
Well, no, optimistic to me is dirt turned in 25, and I think we'll get there.
That's what we're.
That's the goal. So,
If you have no other further questions, we do have the resolution in your packet. They have a sample one, and then Joe and Mark has worked through that with the resolution, so.
We just were, that was what they submitted and we just looked it over it.
So they did even most of the work here, so.
I'm not a lawyer, but I still need to express.
I do also want to put in some information about the township. I think I told you last meeting, that the township has budgeted 25,000 this fiscal year that was tagged or earmarked for the sports complex. So we can assist with that, because we do recognize that sports complex serves more than just a village, and quite a few from the outside of the village utilizes that. So it's a great use of the township money. On top of that, will there be other money from the township to support the building, either in the construction phase or an ongoing, 25,000, which is probably would happen. So understand that the township's name was in here a couple times. The trustees are on board with this. So what our commitment's going to be is still a little gray right now, but just understand the township is going to support it.
Appreciate that too. So I said the township is also looking at, already even before this came about, talking about just with the parks in general, because we do have so many township members who use our parks, so.
Yeah, that 25,000 came before this was even a twinkle in the eye in my mind anyway, so
Yeah, so,
it's just all timing.
so that's appreciated too. It, as we know, doing our parks, it's a struggle sometimes, so. Always looking to be creative. So, anyway, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys very
Thank
much.
you.
So do you guys have any questions over the resolution? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Valley. Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
All this, all this sign in.
That was his first vote. It's good job.
Once we get that all completed and signed, then we'll get that sent off to you guys. Do you have a-
Sorry, we were chatting. You had just.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So, all right, back to our agenda, we have old business. The old business that we need to discuss and, I guess make a decision on is our consideration of the possible selection of a qualified bidder for the solar services out at farm ground out by the parks. So we've had several discussions and presentations on various different themes. I know, I think we've got both people here that if you have questions or how you want to go about this. Any discussion, or do we want to just?
I would need to see, did Rector give a more dedicated thing of what the outcome, I mean, like we did yours, where we did the 4 acres or whatever.
Right.
And then I guess we're gonna turn into a community solar program. Did you have any kind of information like what we'd be looking at making if we did that? Like what the projected income would be off something like that, or how we went about that?
I don't remember if that was put in your packet or not, but I can email that to Joe as a follow-up, so you got that, but number comes to mind that annually you could be looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 figures, low 7 figures by owning the system. Okay, so, but I can forward that to Joe if you want me to, and then Joe can send that out to all of you.
I'd love to see that. Not only just just to entertain what we're looking at, and then what, if they also had on there what we'd be getting back and how soon you get that money back and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
Right.
the only thing I think is that if you ended up doing something like that and they put in that community building and stuff out there, it'd be a nice way to, because obviously it's not gonna get built before the net metering gets here, so you're not gonna be able to get on. I mean, you could eventually, right? You could still get on the net.
Net metering would not apply to if we put a 4-acre farm in.
No, I
Yeah.
know that. No, the money you brought in would just kind of go towards other bills. I understand that.
Yes, okay.
I'm saying, since this isn't planning on being built until 26, net metering will be gone by then, correct?
It's gone at the end of the year, although
Right.
there is some legislative talk about trying to get that extended. I'm going to Bolingbrook tomorrow to meet with some legislators. And that topic is on the agenda with ComEd and Ameren in attendance.
Okay.
For discussion.
I would love to see us have a funding source out there for the parks and all that. I don't know, the original plan was using quite a bit of that. If there's gonna be a community center out there, I don't know how much that's gonna be eaten. Are you talking about 4 acres just on the east end of that? Is that what?
Originally, I thought we were talking about the 4 acre more towards east down in that area. Although it could be put anywhere to control more of the cost, closer it's to an Ameren feed line, but with that kind of power being generated, if you've been toward Danville lately and what they're doing over around Oakwood, they dropped 6 or 8 utility poles in there to handle, but that's also 40 acres being developed, 50 acres being developed. So Ameren would probably have to drop a couple of additional poles in there.
So how much of it, you're talking about if we use it as a generator instead of a go ahead and,
So this would be that we'd have to, I don't know if you guys get involved, but you'd basically have to sell it on. The market would be my guess. It's similar to what the people who are wanting to come in, and the only thing about theirs is the last discussion I got was nobody wanted to give up that kind of acreage to be locked in for 40 years.
Mm.
I mean, he's offering 4 acres and then there's no.
But you have to purchase it, correct?
Right, yes,
Nobody
yeah.
Signed up to purchase the large.
This would be a whole different ballgame. If you had to purchase this is gonna be something that you have to finance and everything else. It'd be way bigger than anything that was discussed, but you would get a lot of it. I assume we'd get a lot of it back.
Oh, you get a large percentage of it back because you got the SREX money, which is 30%. You've also got the 30% incentives that the feds are offering, okay? And like just last month, the Department of Energy has started designating different areas for an additional 10 to 20%. That map can change at any particular time. Right now, Vermilion, Iroquois, what's directly south of Vermilion, I'm sorry. Yeah, no,
Edgar?
Edgar, thank you. Those 3 counties have been designated for an additional 10% from the Department of Energy. So as those things change, you could be looking at additional funds, and 10% on a project of this size, that's serious money.
Yeah, so, and then you'd just be looking at the cost that you're able to sell it for from, year to year. It'd just be.
I mean, if it wasn't, we're already doing the one out there at the sewer plant, I mean, the debt load, that's what. I mean, I know the payoff is better that way. I can see us getting to a point where we'd be, perceived to being sufficiently obligated on that. That's my only concern. And what would the 4 acres run cost to build roughly?
Roughly $3 million is.
I thought it was 6 million.
I think that's
6
closer, yeah. And there again, with that kind of situation, you don't have to do it all at one time. You can do 25% one year, let it start generating revenue, and then 25% the next year, 25%, they can be.
That's not gonna be under a net metering thing that's going away. That's
Right.
gonna be something that's ongoing, so.
My thoughts are, and I kind of mentioned this at the last meeting, 2 things. I'm not comfortable with the expenditure for purchasing the solar out there at this point. We've got a lot of other big projects going on right now that we've already committed to. And I would like to get those moving along a little further, get a couple of, the sewer bond, the initial sewer bond needs to be paid. The park bond will likely be paid off this year. Once that, so I'm not opposed to not looking at it at a later date, but I think the timing right now is not a good time to do it. And as far as going the other route, I I understand the revenue is tempting. And, you know, it would be revenue generated for the parks that we're constantly talking about. I don't ever want to give up on the idea of finding that revenue for the parks. But I don't want to get overly excited about jumping into something just for the revenue and then tying up park grounds for 40 years that, you know, I won't be around here for those 40 years. But, you know, I would like to leave that option open for the park grounds and what might develop further out there, you know, with the community building and other things that might come about. And once, you know, this foundation is up and running and things are been moving along, we might have a source of our revenue with the foundation that would give us that ability to expand the park the way we want to see it. And then if we still see the option with the, you know, we still always have the other option at a later time to, you know, because like I said, the solar thing, you know, if it's a good program, I think it's going to be around for a while. And, you know, if we later down the road where we're off the hook for some of these other expenditures and we've got some of this other stuff accomplished, then by all means, I think we have the opportunity to look at the solar purchase at that point. And hopefully a lot of those credits and things will still be available, which I have a feeling they might be.
Well, the feds have approved them through 29, even if there's an administration change.
Yeah.
So
So we have that, you know, that's still there too. So those are my personal feelings on it. Obviously, I don't have a vote in this unless it's a tie, but just to let you know, that's kind of where I stand on it, so.
Well, I wouldn't vote to do it without seeing some sort of where we're headed. What would be, how would we fund it? Is there a government funding for something like that that is not maybe necessarily, you know, tied to the rest of the village bills and stuff like that? And what kind of money are you looking at? I mean, if he's telling us truthfully, guys, if he's telling you could produce 7 figures a year out there, and you don't want that as a funding source, then I think we seriously need to be looking at something. I mean, that's pretty crazy money if it's out there. But I would definitely have to see some more stuff, and I'm just one person, but I mean, if there's a way to fund this thing and the government's behind it and it's a low interest thing and you get, I think the payback was
6.6 years,
mhm.
and the ROI, 15%.
That's 4 acres only, so.
yeah, and that's 4 acres only.
The debt, so I think it could.
I mean, it does me too, but I mean, if you could tell me in 6 years, we're making an extra $1 million a year out there, I mean, that's,
That a guarantee?
is anything a guarantee there?
Well,
I haven't even
mean,
seen what it is yet, I'm just saying.
I think that's more of a guarantee. I think it's pie in the sky if you think community center is gonna generate a profit. I think it's gonna, I think it would be an asset, but it's gonna be like just like the other parks. You're gonna have a very, you're gonna have a lot of expenditures where the township's gonna throw in 25,000. I'd say that's probably a fraction of what it's gonna cost just to maintain it. You know, so. And then you still got the other parks there too. I don't think it'll ever be profitable myself, but that's just my opinion.
If I may, my apologies.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Tom Olenek. I'm actually one of the co-founders of Bow Renewables. So I work personally with other municipalities and school districts in the state of Illinois. I was just in a meeting a couple weeks ago with the Harlem School Board District. One of the things that they do to diversify their energy needs is they lease and they purchase. So they actually are very, when we contacted them, they had already purchased and leased, multiple solar projects to diversify that. With our bid, right, with our program, it's not just a wholesale market or energy play, right? This is guaranteed contract with Ameren utility through the state of Illinois adjustable block program. So one of the things that we had in our proposal, and I urge you to get this for all bids, is a breakout of, as you were mentioning, a year-by-year breakdown of exactly how much you're spending, how much the revenue is, and then truly compare the total included cost of the system. So with the lease, you're getting that without having to put up the upfront money. Now, I understand land usage is a concern of yours, and we're willing to cut down on that property to give you kind of the best of both worlds here. If we don't want to use the whole property, you know, we're a small company, right? I only have 33 employees, right? And we're based in very small satellite offices, right? So it's something that, because of our size, we are very flexible. So if you do want to downsize, if you do want to do both, that is still an option on the table. So you get a little bit of money, we help fund the community center a little bit, help fund some of these other projects, and also get some, you know, some of that guaranteed revenue through the state's adjustable block program. So I would just urge you to take a look at the finances year by year, truly understand what your total cost is. You know, I'm an engineer by trade. I know this equipment very, very well. I know that you have to replace inverters every 10 years, right? Inverters are not, their warranty isn't 25 years. The warranty on inverters, which is part of the system, is only 5 years, with extended warranties you could purchase out to 20, depending upon cost. So there are a lot of maintenance costs. There are a lot of what school board districts and municipalities have done is, like I said, balance both, purchase some, lease some. So it's just something that other communities have done. I'll leave a stack of cards here with Michael over here. Just, you know, so if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. But I just kind of let you guys know kind of how that goes.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. How many municipalities do you currently have that are partially leased and partially purchased?
So with us, we've only got about 3 right now. We deal typically with the lease side of the business. We don't deal with the purchase side of the business. So they've purchased, you know, their other, you know, racking and systems through, you know, companies like Rector for that purchase. So they kind of split that. Typically the leasing and purchasing, it's kind of 2 different business models. It's handled by 2 different companies typically. That's typically how they handle it.
Any other questions? How do you want to leave it tonight? I'm not thinking that anybody's ready to make a final decision on anything at this
I
point.
mean, if we move forward with the letting them lease it or whatever, you guys would have to decide on how much land you're willing to give up, if any. So.
Well, I'm not ready to make a decision, but I just soon table, but I'm not willing to shed canopy either. I think it's too much of a viable option as a funding source both ways, albeit a lease or a purchase. The purchase might be more lucrative. I like the guarantee of the lease. I think that, I mean, there's good and bad both ways. If it wasn't for the debt, if we had the money to do it, that's one thing. I'm looking at the sewer plant, and I figure we'll have cost overruns and everything on that, even though I figure there's gonna be things there that's unforeseen, so. The debt's the only thing that bothers me. If it wasn't for that, flip a coin, he wants good.
When we were talking about leasing earlier, we were talking about leasing the entire field, right? Back it was like 30 some acres.
Yeah, and they said, how much are you willing to go down to if we decided to lease? I mean, I think 20 was about your minimum.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, what I would say is, you know, the smallest project that we can probably finance at the site, which is still, you know, part of the community solar program underneath the state of Illinois, is probably about 2 megawatts AC. So 2 megawatts AC is probably about 15 acres we could go down to, probably somewhere between 10 to 15, which is still, you know, substantially more than your purchase option. But as I mentioned, you know, it's guaranteed through the state of Illinois. That policy has passed. And it's just a different type of revenue stream, right? I mean, you're looking at 2 very different proposals, and that's really depends on your use case.
Can you clarify exactly the bare minimum that you all would still be interested. in.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm an engineer, so I can talk with one of my associate engineers and we can get you exactly what that 2 MW AC project would look like. And again, on the property, doesn't really matter where it goes, right? So if you want to push it all the way to the eastern boundary or the southern boundary or wherever you would like it, you know, we're very, very flexible on where that goes because our interconnection equipment can go anywhere on the property.
Any other questions? Well, then I think we will just table it for now then, and move on through our agenda. Do we need anything official to table, anything, or just call it discussion, move on?
Just move on.
Okay. Joe, do you have any, you have your update in our package? Do you have anything you want to point out, or bring to our attention?
Yes, I scanned you a document, Mike. It'll come from our copier. This is just a straw poll type of question. I know, yeah, that's what I was drum roll, yeah. Okay, so it is. We got a request from Ms. Clements. And she is wanting to split. This lot right here, the front door faces Sherman. Yes. This isn't her lot, so I don't know why that was there, so I have to call that, but she wants to split it right here. You can see like that would mirror that. But at some point, the previous property owner before her, they combined those because they wanted a, you know, bigger side yard. But she's wanting to split this again in half. And she would need to do a minor replat, but that comes with some expense. And so I wanted to present this conceptually to you to see if you had any issues. She would need to comply with the side yard setback still, if they were to ever sell it to somebody try to build a house there or something, they still need to comply with all of our setback requirements. But anyway, you all have any problems with it, or I just don't, I told her I'd give her the courtesy of asking before they went to split. I have no problem with it.
Is there sufficient, would the lot be sufficient size that somebody could build on it? Or
It
is
would be
it
a
gonna
small, it would be a small house, but it would be the same exact size of lot that she has currently there.
It looks like it'd be roughly the same as across the street, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
those are those smaller lots in the older part of
Okay,
town, yeah.
so it would be like everything else then?
Yeah, it'd be a smaller house, which they would have to comply with the side yard, like I said, which would make it. You could do it, you have to be creative and it'd be. Like that, but anyway, it's possible.
What's her reasoning? Is she wanting to sell it or is she?
Yeah, she's wanting to offload that, just the extra expense and everything, so.
Yeah, the older part of town, those lots are much narrower than the newer part of town. That's why a lot of your older homes are long. That's what my house is. It's like there.
So, is everybody okay with the? Yeah. Okay.
Fine,
All right. That's.
welcome to Tiny House Nation.
Yeah. And that's all I need my reports and, back in.
And public works report is included in that also. Mike's on vacation, so that's why he's not on Zoom tonight. So if you have any questions with that after reviewing it, be sure to send those questions to Joe. He can find the answers for you, so.
What was the park bench got vandalized? I was just going through stuff, or do you? or is
That
that-
was last summer.
That's been on.
Yeah, last summer and, yeah, so we gotta put a new park bench together, I think, basically.
Is there, did you ever find anybody else that does those plastic ones, or?
No. And we looked at a place in Northern Illinois, they're not doing it anymore. And then, we've actually gotten calls from people that don't live here and asked where the recycling place, apparently on our website still somewhere, I can find it. But they still find us, and so, but I can't, there's people all over looking for it, but I haven't found one yet. If you find one, let me know. But there's still
I
things.
thought the one was a Terre Haute, it didn't.
It wasn't, it was, Evansville.
They just got out of the business, didn't they? I understand. Anyway, so like I said, if you have any other further questions or anything in regards to public works reports or anything, share those with Joe. Mark, do you have any?
Nothing to report.
No, official village clerk.
You know, one thing, about a week and a half ago, Joe and I went through all the old files back in the storeroom, pulled out all the old records, got those, and we're gonna attach them and put them on the website, so you can look through it like you do. That's, we're doing it ourselves. So you
That was
don't
the
pay
awesome.
for it.
It is good, because it,
Wow.
Wow, that's right.
finding the old resolutions have been, it's been a difficult thing for a very long time, so.
Can we create one for an attaboy for us?
And he just officially
Yeah.
got his position
You did
tonight.
that before you even officially started.
Wow.
Slave driver.
Yeah.
Seems like you'd be perfect for a community center venue and contract.
An overachiever.
In 3 years, I retired from my.
I like how that came out after they had done it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you, Mike, very much. So, all right, down to the mayor, just a couple of things. I know Joe sent out an email, who all is going to the IML conference this year? Terry, Art,
Yeah.
right? So I was just gonna offer that invitation to the rest of you. They are great conferences, bring back a lot of good information to the village. So if you're interested and have questions, you can talk to Joe about that. One of the other ones have been before. We would love to have you, Joe, if you're able to go. So that's in September. The next question I had, I was gonna let Ashley know, is anybody interested, who's interested in the parade, the festival? If you're interested in that, last year it was Max and Terry and I, we were in the back of my son's old pickup truck.
And I got thrown out and ran over.
That we did.
That didn't happen.
But Ashley was wanting to know, because we always get candy to throw out some kids to the parade, and we usually have little signs that you're trustees or whatever, so. It is the second weekend, it's the second Saturday, and it's. What, is that at 9? I think it's 10. 10, okay. That's right. Anyway, well, if you could let me know the next couple of days, and that way I can share that with Ashley, and we'll get that figured out on. And then if we need to get vets lined up with Art, or we can use, my son's done some more work on his old truck, so he's happy to show it off, so.
Hey, I know somebody that's got a foreign car, he wears a beret.
Yeah, I'll need a co-pilot and key 2 will have to wear that braid.
And the last thing I was gonna, I met, last night, we did this last year at the park. We had, the Prince of Peace Lutheran Church have their VBS this week. And so the 5th and 6th graders and 7th, 8th graders, which involved about 14 kids. And I think that's about how many we had last year. Last year, we painted a table and did some work out at the Co-Park, some cleanup and some fun things. And so last night I met with them, and they worked at the church building. So there's a lot of things that help Public Works. We, Joe, set up tables and things closest to the exits, so that it'll make it a little easier for Public Works guys. So anyway, I put them to work. They did an awesome job. And just moving like hymnals and different things. And they were busy little bees, and they seemed like they really enjoyed themselves working hard. And they did a great job. They got a lot done on both the main level and the basement. So anyway, see, everybody has smiling faces, but see, they stacked everything up, and so it'll be a whole lot easier when the time comes to either donate some of it So, and if someone does know of a church or something for hymnals and Bibles and things, you know, we'll be looking on how to disperse those things, but they did a great job, so I want to thank them, and that was, I wanted to make sure the pictures got up there, so it's always fun to do those projects with them. We have a good time and still get a lot of good work done, so, that's all I have. I can't think of off the top of my head. Trustees, anything to add?
I got a question. Temporary stop signs for the festival coming in and out of park, unless that's gonna be an issue.
We'll talk to Mike about it when he gets back. We talked about it before, but I'll just see where we're at with it. Yeah, I'll talk with him.
And then there's a pickup alternative that.
There is, but you know what, I think we're gonna end up being in the parade because it's called oh no, that's something different, but I think we're gonna, is the parade what time, around 2 or 3?
Yeah,
Yeah.
lineup is at 2 and
Yeah.
parade
I think
is at
it's gonna be
3.
done, so,
Okay,
here, the pickleball tournament?
Yeah. I do have one thing, so me and Brenda and Jamie were talking that I would, and I've been considering this for a while, I'd like to move the Santa run to that weekend before, when you have the pancake breakfast and the Santa out there. Do you think that's going to end up being too much on one day, or do you think we can all coordinate? Because that race starts at 9, it's done by 10. I was usually thinking the Santa was after like that, around 10:30 or 11 or something like that,
what
but
time Santa, seems like Santa does come, do you know, Rusty? Like 10-ish to Santa arrive at 10?
9:30, 10, something like that.
Yeah, because the breakfast starts sooner, usually around 7-ish.
I was trying to look it up.
But yeah, I was thinking if we could coordinate that, even if we had to move the time up to 8 or something, it might all work out. I just think that way we might get, because it seems like people run and then they're gone. And if we had a few events where maybe they could stick around, then it might.
Yeah, I know years and years ago, we used to have the SJO 5K the same weekend as the festival. And I know a lot of the runners absolutely loved going over and doing the breakfast after the run.
Right, and that's what, I don't know how long the breakfast lasts, though, you know, is it done by?
It's usually done in the morning.
Breakfast, 7 to 9:30, Santa arrives at 10.
So maybe we need to kick up the time to 8, so then they can enjoy the breakfast and give it a shot. I mean, if we fall flat on our face, then we know better and go back to the old.
Kind of cold at 8 o'clock in the morning in the winter.
It's kind of cold, no matter what. I don't think an hour is gonna make a huge difference. But we are moving it up a week earlier, so.
All the more enticement to get it done and get something warm to eat.
Right, right.
When do we like the tree? What weekend do we like the tree?
What's that?
When do we like the Christmas tree? What weekend is that?
We, in the past, we've done it like the first Saturday of, December.
Would that be the same Saturday you're talking about?
No, they're,
No, this
the
is, I think
Holly
it's the
Jolly
14th,
is
right?
usually the second Saturday, yeah.
Which we're thinking it's 14th, because we're gonna have our race on. 23rd,
Yeah, and usually the women's club is the same night as Holly Jolly, right? So they have that in the evening as the
Christmas
parade,
parade.
so.
Anyway, just something to consider. If you come up with that, you don't think it's gonna work, then let us know. But it sounds like we can make it work. We might just have to bump it up a half an hour.
Just have to be out there on my details.
Hey, Joe, that IML convention is showed on there was 19th through 21st.
No, it's the 11th.
I mean, I just looked at their website, is that the right? I mean,
Oh, that's what I thought it was, is it?
I just looked at it and I thought, they got the right dates on there, cause it showed, that would be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's see.
I have
The
September,
19th through the 21st.
yeah,
That's what it says, in
Yeah.
it. And if you look at your calendar, on the 19th to 21st would be Thursday, Friday,
Right,
Saturday.
that's
Right.
what it always,
That's right.
that's what it always is.
I thought, what did I think we went up on Wednesday?
yeah.
Was it wildly attended that day or was the crowd pretty sparse?
They've had a Wednesday night,
opening kind of things, so I do remember in the past they'd done Wednesday nights, so you're not completely off. That's why you're my co-pilot in the.
We.
I have a question about the house. The moving the house that's out of the land and the moving of the house and, is that, cause you know, I see that you have on here like between 30 and 60 days, otherwise Wes Taylor's gonna be taking ownership of, I mean, are you planning on just like, just letting him demolish the house or trying to sell it or?
The RFP that was submitted did not include the house being there. You need the space for additional duplexes. You could fit basically 2 duplexes in the place where you've got 1 house, which is, you're talking about a house that's worth $180,000 roughly versus, you know, 2 $300,000 duplexes. So it's a pretty big deal for him who has to secure financing with a bank to be able to show how many additional units he'll be able to sell. You know, and he's up in a road and all that stuff. So he doesn't want the house. The house he does not want it. So
We've tried making some contacts for people who might be interested in moving it and have not had any luck, because we determined what, $50,000-$60,000 for
60 grand for the house, your letter, that letter said, and 20 for the barn.
Yeah, but to find a good location to do that and have someone willing to do that, we've struck out so far.
So have you advertised it? I mean, even if you just sell, if you say the barn, even if you just say you sell the barn for like $5,000 with caveat that you gotta get it out of here within 30 days or something, or. I mean, you know.
They're gonna put that on the website,
I mean, I haven't seen it even advertised anywhere.
accepting bids on the house. You know,
And you gotta get rid of it.
yeah,
Right, but then do it, then say with the caveat that it has to be gone by X date, you know, that so
Yeah, because
people know.
we hadn't been able to do that leading up to it just because we weren't for sure how they had to do some things to figure out what they were doing on their end, but so.
if you want to advertise it and draw attention to it, I'm happy to do that.
we want you to be happy, Joe.
Well, no,
Then you wouldn't advertise.
I was gonna
it.
say,
Sounds like-
Well, I'm happy to do whatever you want to do.
You just,
You gotta,
will they demolish it if we don't
Yes.
want it? They'll get rid of it
yeah, for no cost, because it'll be their problem.
and that's fine.
Yeah, I think we've tried to do, you've tried to do the right thing and it's just not working out, so.
I mean, I would absolutely,
And I'm cautiously listening to what Joe Yeah, is saying I as agree. well. I don't wanna, you know, give him any more big mess to take care of, so that's my thought.
All we're gonna do is get
We deal with it.
ridicule
No.
for buying a house.
Uh,
Just getting demolished.
oh, I'm sure we will. What did we not do?
Jump on the bandwagon.
I wish with my heart that we
But
could
all
have
those
something
taxes.
a lot to it.
Yeah. No, they don't. Nobody-
They think we get it all and just spend it.
Nobody agrees with Nora posts that comments that issue.
Yeah.
A lot of people agree with Nora posts and I appreciate those people. But
Is there anything else?
If the house is going to be foregone, if we had a little bit of heads up. Not to demolish it, burn it, anything like that, it would provide some nice training.
Then all I can do is I can connect you to the developer, because it would be their. You know what I mean? Their
We just, well, burning in a training setting in the state of Illinois is nearly impossible nowadays, but.
Really?
Well, just because of liability. Asbestos. And there's viable reasons, and it also comes down to a lot of the departments that might have burned. Don't have the qualifications to be hosting those trainings, but, yeah, I mean, it's not very often we pull those through a house that's. In decent shape. Usually what we get is hey, this is about to fall in. I can't tell you how many houses Casey or Josh and I have gone into and been like,
thank you for the offer, but we're not stepping foot in here because.
So that would be perfect.
Yes.
That way, that would be some good, that, yeah.
Or should be.
Well, that house was very well maintained.
Change, but
I said it's.
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame that you couldn't even just offer it to whoever wants to get rid of it. Here's your house, you can get all this property. Here's your-
I think there's a lot there. I had one guy approach me about that. It's supposedly the house mover in taxes, but I haven't been able to locate it. Gave some to Joe, and it just, a lot of calls,
anything else?
No, if not, they're.
Go ahead.
Terry.
Go ahead, Max.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
That's it.
Second, all right.